What's up, people? This is DJ.
Hey, mi gente, this is Ish.
And this is season 2 of Pero Let Me Tell You.
Salsa, mi salsa es caliente, la miel de mi fuente goza y baila mi gente.
We live, boo.
We live?
We live.
What does that mean?
We're recording.
Estamos grabando. Que extraño that you didn't catch me singing a second ago.
I know. I was trying, but I like for it to be organic.
I'll repeat it again. It's 5 a.m. and I still can't sleep. Or do you want me to sing Rhythm Divine? We were just talking on how that song, Rhythm Divine by Enrique Iglesias, 20 years old.
20 years old.
Well, welcome to Pero Let Me Tell You, everyone.
Like, 20 years old.
This is not America's top 10. It's Pero Let Me Tell You. Wait, what episode is this? This is episode 53. 53.
Yes.
We should be like 53 years ago. The number one song in America was...
We're not Casey Kasem.
was Barbara Ann by the Beach Boys.
Ba, ba, ba. Now I'm thinking of Elvis statues.
Of what?
Of an Elvis, like a little Elvis statue, a little bust.
Oh, no.
You don't know why I'm thinking that?
Why?
The episode of Saved by the Bell.
When the Elvis statue, the
breaks,
bust has to be looking a certain way.
They break it during a party. Right,
and it has to be like a... She knew that it was moved because it wasn't facing...
The right way. The kitchen.
Right way.
It wasn't facing the kitchen.
Saved by the Bell. So welcome to episode 53, everybody, of Pero Let Me Tell You. And here we are. We
are actually in the midst of having done some really cool stuff. We were at the Miami Film Festival last weekend. We're going to probably be there a couple of days this weekend. Also on Saturday. Actually, we're recording on 305 Day. And the Saturday is actually 305 Day out in the Hialeah, the Hialeah Arts District, and we're going to be out and about roaming like two scoundrels, as you do in Hialeah.
Bueno, pero Friday.
It's all about Pero Friday.
So actually, you know what? That's kind of like a good topic of conversation to start off.
The Hialeah.
And I mean, I guess this is a topic that's a little bit more specific to our Miami listeners, but
the rest of you can still listen,
or to our listeners who are other places but are from Miami or South Florida. If somebody were to ask you to explain what it is to be a Miamian, how would you answer that question?
I don't know. It means that you're more than likely always going to be late wherever you're going.
True.
Chances are, if somebody offers to shake your hand as a greeding, you're going to wonder what you did to them.
Yeah, no, we kiss.
Exactly, or hug, or just warmth. If at least one Que Pasa USA quote doesn't happen on a weekly basis, you're not even in South Florida.
No.
Also traffic. Pastelitos. Colada.
Guayaba is a really big part of our life.
It is a huge part of our life.
Yeah. It's funny because I was speaking to a friend the other day who's a listener he was saying that like he's gone years with having guayaba, if ever.
How?
I'm like, okay,
How?
In South Florida?
How?
Well, he doesn't live here.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
You left that out of the...
Okay, well, yes. And I'm like, oh my God, in South Florida, everything is guayaba. Like,
that's the state
there's
fruit.
Guayaba cupcakes, guayaba cakes, guayaba cookies.
Guayaba syrup.
Marmalade,
jelly, donuts. Yeah, we put it in everything. I hope they don't have guava suppositories.
But no, guava makes you constipated.
Oh, so then no, they don't have that. Okay,
yeah,
good.
You didn't know that? Like guava makes you constipated, but I think it's like guava, like the pure fruit.
Like if you eat una guayaba.
Yeah, the from the fruit,
not the paste.
Yeah.
Oh.
So.
All right.
So how would I explain Miami? Okay, so how would I explain Miami? I think that we're very diverse. And there's a lot of places that are very diverse, like California. And LA is very diverse. San Francisco is very. New York is very diverse, especially like New York.
Right.
But I think that in Miami we're very diverse. But I think the diversity has a direct effect on everybody's daily life and customs and habits. Because, for example, here there are a lot of people who are white, but drink Cuban coffee. They love Cuban pastries. They and that is part of their fabric. You see what I'm saying?
True, but you could say something similar in New York. People go to bodegas.
Right, but yes, but I think here it's more widespread because, for example, New York has all these like all these like parts of the city and neighborhoods and all that. Right. But that just because there's a little a Korean town in New York doesn't mean that other than when you go there and you eat there, Korean culture has
kimchi is not a part of your everyday life.
Has really meshed into the fabric of your everyday life.
Right.
And I think here it does. The diversity of whether it's Cuban or Hispanic in general really meshes with other people. And also, like, for example, because there's so many different nationalities here that are Latin American, we can have like pan de bono. Pan de bono is like a staple for us too, and it's not Cuban. I believe pan de bono is like Colombian, or like a pupusa, which is arepa. Those are things that like are part of our fabric, but they're not, in our case, they're not Cuban. Right. But you don't think about it twice. You're like, I'm having an arepa. That's part of being Miami. So I think the culture here, when I say that it's a culture, like a melting pot, I think it's a melting pot that melted and then it got like
we threw spices in it.
No, it melted and then it hardened again and then it's mixed.
So it congealed.
It congealed. It's not homogeneous.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
Because I think that here it's very much it very much becomes a part of your everyday life, the diversity of Miami. And I think that makes us unique because, again, I mean, you lived in New York, and I've been all over the country, and yes, there's some cities that are very, very diverse, but does that diversity, translate into your everyday life and your everyday customs? Porque, I mean, here in Miami, I think the people that love Cuban coffee the most are los americanos. They love it. Y flan. I mean, they love it, and like that stuff that they eat themselves at home. It's not like, oh, let's go out to that Cuban restaurant.
Right, it's not a treat.
Right, it's like, okay, let's have some flan, in the office. But and also, which I think I have said this in the podcast before, I can't think of many other cities in the U.S., but I think this is something that's very uniquely Miami, that it doesn't matter where you work, whether it's an office, like a very legit like law firm, high-end law firm in Brickell, or in una factoría in Hialeah. When you have that coworker that has an avocado tree or a mango tree and that thing is in bloom, that everybody in the office is getting
aguacate.
You're getting an aguacate in the yellow Sedano's bag.
Yep.
That they're coming, and Maria's gonna come with her 5 bags of aguacate, and she'd be like, "Oye, ¿quién quiere aguacate?"
Imagínate, la mata tenía tanto, and I had to get rid of it.
Yeah, that is like such a Miami thing.
That's true. We don't think twice about sharing.
No, and it's funny because I was thinking that one time when I worked, in big law. Here's this prestigious, like, formal law firm. Yeah, y todo el mundo pasando aguacate y mango, and I'm like, this is so Miami. This is so Miami.
Epitome of Miami.
I mean, can you imagine in like, New York or in Chicago, somebody in the nice prestigious law firm on the 55th floor is like passing around avocados and
like grapefruits. I don't know what they grow there.
Naranja agria. It's like
rico naranja agria. I love naranja agria.
So take that 305 day.
There you go. That's your 305. And shout out to Jenny Lee for starting 305 day. She started it with 305 cafecito time, and it's grown. So,
and I have to say that, and we've talked about this before here, I don't know if everybody goes through this phase, but I know I went through it, and I know you went through it, that you get a point where you kind of like, you're over Miami. You hate it. It's like, ugh, the people here. And,
I go through it every other week.
The traffic, the people here, ugh. And I certainly went through that phase, and I was like, I'm over Miami. I'm over everything here. I don't belong here anymore. I'm done. And I went away for a while, and when I came back, I'm like, I love Miami. This is me. This is my home. This is me.
For me, it's home, but I still have a little love-hate relationship with it. Well, but I think you always do wherever you're from.
Right, it's like family.
Wherever you're from, exactly.
It's family. Exactly. But I think that as somebody who's now older and has been around and has seen other places, it's not only that it feels like home, but and I'm sure that to a large extent, this is something that people say from their respective home cities. It's very much who you are, like as a person. It
shaped you, of course.
It shapes you, and I identify with it because
absolutely.
The culture here is very unique to here, just like it is in any other city.
Right.
But that culture is very much who we are. So, you know. So, happy 305 Day, everybody.
Happy 305 Day.
Although it was 2 or 3 days ago, pero bueno.
Yeah.
So what else do we have?
Okay. ¿A ti te afectó la muerte de Luke Perry in any way, shape, or form? You know what? For me, it's not that I was a huge 90210 fan. I mean, I watched it just like everybody else. But I think I was like, he's only 12 years older than us.
Well, because I think...
And he died of a stroke, which I always associate with old people.
Well, because I think that what happened is that he's somebody of our generation insofar as that 90210 was a phenomenon when we were still, like, we were in, like, 5th grade when 90210...
Oh, but by the time it ended, we were
in college.
Right, yeah, so...
that's a good way of ending seeing it. When it started, we were in 5th grade, because it started, like, 89, 90.
Right.
But by the time it ended in 2000,
we were in college. So,
yeah. But, you know, the show in its height was a show that was we were very much part of that phenomenon. And even though they were older than us, you know, by more than a decade, we related to them insofar because, again, they were the idols of kind of our generation in a way.
But I think growing up 12 years seemed further away than it does now.
Well, yeah, no, but that's
what hit me.
What I'm trying to say, what affects me about his death is not so much the age. I mean, he could have been 45, he could have been 60. It's that he was somebody who was relevant in our youth, in like those formative kind of teenage or preteen years,
right? And
he's gone, you know. And it's like, oh, you're starting to lose people that like
were part of your growing up.
You know, it's kind of like this is probably how a few years ago when David Cassidy passed away, people, you know, from that generation were like, oh my God, you know, he was this young, cute guy who, you know, what did he song, Puppy Love?
No, David Cassidy was I Think I Love You.
I Think I Love
Puppy
You.
Love was Donny Osmond.
So it's like, okay, you know, this person that symbolized youth and, you know, being cool, because in the case of Luke Perry,
Absolutely. He was our James
cool
Dean,
dude,
quote unquote.
You know, you don't think of people like that dying.
No, that's true. I mean, well, Betty White buried another one.
Ay, no, vamos a echarle más de ojo. Knock on wood, knock on wood.
Katherine Helmond.
Huh?
Katherine Helmond también.
Mona. But, you know, Mona was...
She was 90?
She had Alzheimer's. I didn't know that she had had Alzheimer's. No. It's funny because Katherine Helmond, which many of you probably know from Who's the Boss.
Right. Some of our older listeners may know her also from Soap.
You know that the first time I saw her, and I remember the first time I saw her was not on Who's the Boss. I saw her in a movie. I forget the name of a movie, but I saw it in elementary school. The movie is from the 70s.
Okay.
And it was an interview that they did with this lady who was a slave in the 1960s. Mm-hmm. She was like 100-something when they did the interview. Right. I forget the name of it. And the movie was about her, about the slave.
Okay.
Obviously, when they...
This wasn't like Roots type of thing, was it?
No. It was a movie. It wasn't a miniseries. It was a movie. I wish I could remember the name of it. I'm going to have to look it up. But anyway, the movie was about this woman talking about her time when she was a slave. And again, I think it takes place either... Well, in terms of current time, in either the late 50s or early 60s. So she was like over 100 when they were interviewing her in this movie. And Katherine Helmond is in, like, you know, when she starts talking about when she was a little girl. Flashbacks, trying to escape the South. Katherine Helmond, there's a scene that she comes out and that she gives her water. And she was very angry because, like, the Civil War was going on and, like, her family had died in the Civil War. And she was like, it was because of you. Like, that is the first time I saw Katherine Helmond.
Really?
Yeah. But I think that movie is from the 70s. But she still had that Mona hair.
Yeah, she always had that Mona hair up until about season
90s.
3.
Yeah, when the 90s came around, then she had that Cristina hair. Or my mother. That's the hair my mom had through the 90s.
That's true.
Straight and blow dried, touching the shoulders.
A light bang.
A little bang.
A light bang, yes.
My mom had that hair. Yeah. That's when you would see my mom blow drying her hair on Fridays.
Oh, I miss Fridays.
Don't you remember not too long ago when you were at my house, at my parents' house?
It was a Friday, and your mom was blow drying her hair.
Some things never change.
They don't change.
Her hairstyle has changed a bit,
but she still blow dries it.
But anyway, no. What I was gonna say about Katherine Helmond is that Mona, the character of Mona, I've told you before how I've always thought she was the classy Connecticut version of Blanche.
Right. Because Mona had gentleman friends stay over, but you never really saw them.
No.
And she never spoke about it.
No.
Know? But I get that. Who was she going to tell Angela?
Yeah.
She didn't want to hear about her mother's sex life.
Yeah, and Angela was a bit of a prude.
Right.
Whereas, Blanche was just, piling them in.
No, had a turnstile. Take a number.
I love how in the Golden Girls, they use the word slut so much.
It's true. They're just basically 4 old gay men.
They're like, slut, slut. And I love the episode where Dorothy calls Blanche a Jezebel. You're nothing but a 2-rate Jezebel. My favorite scene, which is I think it's my favorite scene. My favorite scene it's my favorite scene of the Golden Girls, and I think it's my favorite scine of any sitcom. Is the one of the Yankee.
One of the Yankee.
Yeah. Benjamin. And to think you were not going to go to the prom with Benjamin because he was black. And Blanche is like, black? Benjamin wasn't black. He was from New Jersey. I was going to go to my high school senior prom with a Yankee. I love Dorothy's like, a Yankee? A Yankee? And to think they did that movie of that deadbeat Gandhi when they haven't said a story like this. That is my favorite scene of like any episode of any show.
I love that show.
Mira, para que tú veas. It's good writing. That show...
Timeless.
It's timeless.
It has its moments of pop culture references that people may not understand, but that is timeless writing.
Yeah.
Forget it.
Yeah. So, okay, what else is going on?
Okay, so you know that we live in... I'm bringing out the phone for this one, listeners.
You're bringing on the heartbreak.
Through the smartphone.
I'm singing the Mariah Carey version, not the White Snake version.
All right, so we all know that nowadays there's like 18 different... I'm picturing you now going trapo ese that she has on her head in the video.
If our listeners would see me now, I have this like comforter on me.
It's almost sub-zero in this room.
I have this comfort. I like to be cold, but I like to be really comfy and cozy.
He likes to be warm while it's freezing around him.
So it's like really cold right now. Because, studios we're in a studio. Studios are cold.
Studios are cold.
Are cold.
So except for the one where Christina Aguilera was on the floor. I feel that one had to be kind of warm.
Yeah, she was singing a song about her dad. Give her a break.
Right, I heard that. So, you know how nowadays there's a spectrum of sexuality and people are fluid and non-binary and blah, 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 right?
Are there people who don't want to be put in a box whether they're left-handed or right-handed?
No. Have you heard of being autosexual?
No.
You want to take a guess at what autosexual is?
Autosexual. Does the word have anything to do with it?
Yes.
When you mean auto, you mean like automatic? Or auto as in O-T-T-O?
No, not people who are attracted to men named Otto.
Okay. I was thinking of Otto Frank. Of all the autos... okay, never mind. As an like auto.
Like auto, yeah.
People that automatically don't I don't have no idea.
Okay. So according to this article in metro.co.uk, and it's an article speaking to a woman who is a self-identified autosexual. Autosexuality is the idea of being sexually attracted to yourself and can also come with being autoromantic, experiencing the relationship with yourself as romantic.
Hi, Chico, you're autosexual because you're in love with yourself.
I do love myself.
You do, especially when we wear turtlenecks.
I did, or tank tops.
Or tank tops.
And cutoffs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
how you haven't married yourself, it beats me.
Well,
but
I'm glad you say that, because they talked to this lady who is now engaged to herself.
okay.
The beauty of it is that she's been engaged to herself since 2014 and still hasn't married herself. Mm-hmm. So even
Is she
now,
seeking her father's approval? Or is she trying to write a prenup? Because it's something that you need to have. Because if she leave your ass, she's going to leave with half.
See, all I could think of was that even she doesn't want to marry herself. It's like, tan come mierda.
Yeah. Imagine if she comes to you and wanting to write that prenup. Okay. So
I want to give myself half of everything that I've made.
Okay.
I think we've officially reached
So does she masturbate?
the point. Of course she does. She finds herself hot. She masturbates to herself in front of a mirror.
Can we say masturbate on our show?
Well, it's a technical term. It's a scientific term.
Okay.
It's not like we're saying,
because they can't say masturbation on The View.
They can't?
Nope.
Why not?
Nope.
What do they say? Like pleasure themselves?
yourself, yeah. But they can't say, and I'm like, but why? Like masturbation. Here we are saying that's like an actual scientific term.
Right. Okay, well, we're not on The View, so I'm going to say yes. She finger blasts herself.
Oh, okay. Well.
Thoughts?
Well. Autosexual can also be those people who marry their cars. There's been a few of those.
I almost understand that more.
I think an exhaust is hot.
It is.
I look at the exhaust of my car and I'm like, man, that's hot.
It's literally hot.
It's literally hot.
It's literally
but like,
hot, right.
Dual quadro exhaust turn me on, but that's another story. Well.
But isn't that just narcissism? Like, didn't we just call that?
Well, no, seriously speaking. Seriously
like
speaking.
genuinely.
Like, we can make fun of this till the cows come home.
Heifer.
Corporation. I think it's like everything. If she's doing this to kind of be cheeky and thought-provoking, whatever, good for her.
No, I think it's a real thing.
Have fun. But if they really want to make this put it on the spectrum of sexuality or of, gender identities,
whatever.
I feel that there has to be a finite.
There has to be a
you know what?
Spectrum?
Okay, actually, no. There has to be something finite, and that finite that could be broad because it could be a spectrum,
right?
Or nothing at all.
What do you mean?
Just nothing. Because if we're gonna say that there's people that. And we're talking now about gender. See, because this is weird. Because it's not a gender sexuality.
It's sexuality.
This is sexuality.
Yes.
So if we're gonna go by the whole thing that sexuality is it's a spectrum,
right?
Right. The spectrum of sexuality has to do with same-sex attraction versus
right and everything
hetero,
in between.
Right, and anything and everything in between.
Right.
But we're talking about the combinations in terms of either same-sex or hetero attraction, right. But that's within the same spectrum. But now you're adding to yourself. No, but seriously speaking, if you're attracted to yourself and you find yourself hot and you're a woman, so are you a lesbian?
Right.
If we really want to talk about it in
Let's
this term,
dissect it, right,
dissect it, because then you find attractive the female form, or are you going to approach it but are you going to approach it then in the alternative? It's like, are you going to approach it in a pansexual way and say that no, you're not in love with yourself because you're in love with the female form. You're in love with yourself because you're open to falling in love with the person, and that person can be of any sex.
I don't think it's a lesbian thing. I think it's you're in love with yourself because you're in love with yourself, not because you're a
but
man,
let me ask you something, because in that article, seriously, in that article, are they talking about it in terms of that's what I want to know. Are they talking about it in terms of sexuality, a definition of sexuality?
So I will look it up. They're talking about it in terms of autosexuality is that identification of being sexually attracted to yourself. They talked to this lady named Gia Vital. She's engaged to marry herself after proposing in March 2017. I like the fact that she proposed to herself. After becoming aware of her sexuality at the age of 7, she didn't explore her feelings until she was in college. Now, after unlearning her preconceived notions about relationships and the idea that you have to be with another person for it to be valid, Gia wants to normalize autosexuality.
I don't know. I mean, I pride myself at being an extremely open-minded person, and if this is what these people makes them happy, then you know what? You go marry yourself and buy yourself every single, what is it, the jackrabbit or the
everything
under the sun.
Knock yourself out.
Knock yourself out. But I mean, I think that you are severely. Okay. I don't think that the desire of being with someone else, whether it's emotionally or physically, is something that is socially indoctrinated to you.
Right.
Obviously, there's certain aspects that are. You could certainly make an argument that wanting to be married or coupled in a traditional relationship, whatever that may mean, and when I mean traditional, I don't even mean about like sex.
No, just sexist, like
but just
a couple of two
people and everything that comes with that.
Right.
You could certainly make an argument that that is social indoctrination in terms of learned behavior throughout generations. But the desire of wanting to be with someone, again, both sexually or emotionally, I don't think that that is self-taught. I think that that is natural. So I believe that her wanting to making herself believe that she can satisfy herself, and you know, she has to unlearn what I just said in terms of her relationship with someone else. I don't buy. That, I mean, if that's what makes her happy and she wants to do it, then boo-boo, you go and you save the vows in the mirror if that's what makes you happy. But I don't.
Well, if nothing else, the guest list will be small.
Well, so she makes herself horny, randy. Well, this is
it's from the UK, so
she makes
yes.
herself randy.
She wants to shag herself when she makes herself randy, I guess. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I mean, whatever. Who hasn't looked in the mirror?
I mean, I look at all the look at all the advantages. She's not gonna get an STD. She's not gonna get pregnant. She doesn't have to do the walk of shame.
That's true. She doesn't have to worry about not being in the mood.
Right. She doesn't have to worry about what the other person is thinking.
Yeah. She can go out as late as she wants.
Right. She doesn't have to answer to anyone.
You know what? You've got the right idea. You've got the right idea, Gia, whatever your name is.
You go and you do it.
You go and you do it.
I invite us to the wedding. We'll cover it on Pero, let me tell you.
That would be great. Wait. Okay, but do we have to get like just... How do you buy a couple's gift for somebody who's just one person?
You just get her one champagne flute. Oh my God, can you imagine doing the engagement session?
Chris, you have to reach out to this woman and do her engagement photos.
Oh my God, it will look like a quinceañera engagement session, but no, it's not a quinceañera. It's a wedding, people. Ay, Dios mío.
I just don't get why people need this. Like, again with the labels, right? Like, it's like, dude, okay, so you're by yourself. That's fine. You're by yourself, you know. But it's like, oh, because I have to have, I have to be labeled as something. It's like, no.
No, look, I think that the people that,
there are many people who are single.
for whatever reason, they haven't found a relationship
or don't want one,
and they don't care to be in a relationship, and they're, they feel fine being on their own, because there is something liberating to being on your own.
Yeah.
Good for them. I don't think that's a bad thing.
No, at all.
And you know what? I hate to quote Sex and the City because I have mixed feelings about that show, which we will get into another time. But I remember that one time, I think it was Charlotte. There was an episode where Charlotte said, we can be each other's soulmates.
Yeah.
I think there's certain truth to that. I don't think your soulmate has to be your significant other.
I agree.
Your soulmate could be your best friend. Your soulmate could be your brother, your sister.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I mean, I think that the social expectation that your soulmate has to be your significant other, your husband and your wife, I think that's kind of ridiculous. If it's your husband or your wife, great, but I don't think it has to be,
So you bring up an interesting point, because now, just based on what this woman is saying, she has to unlearn all these things. Like, so what she's basically saying is that she's unable to connect with another person?
I don't know. I just think it's interesting when you read that she said that she had to unlearn.
Unlearn, right. So basically, she's like either unable or unwilling.
She's... You know how I feel about that. She's probably unhappy or was unhappy, and, this gives her more power. That's the same way I feel about open relationships, but that's another That's another conversation
I
for
don't have
another
an
day.
issue with open relationships. I think if it works for you, it works for you.
Yeah, whatever you want, boo boo. And you don't have an issue with one because you're not in one.
Well,
but anyway,
I don't have an issue with it, but I know several people who are, and it seems to work for them.
Yeah, I know. And I know people that are in them too, but generally it started because something not great happened.
No, I'm not talking about how it started. I'm just talking about the fact that it works, or worked, or whatever.
I agree. And I don't know if you want to go down the open relationship conversation. I agree. I think there's people who are very happy in it, and again, listen, I'm you know how I am. If it's two adults and it's consensual and nobody's nobody outside of the realm,
right, everybody's
is getting
in agreement,
hurt and everybody's in agreement, you do whatever you want to do, whatever you want
that's
to do,
what I'm saying.
and nobody, even us, pero let me tell you, we could talk out of our asses because we're not them. I just think that a lot of times people that are in open relationships, especially people that become open later, I just think a lot of times that people that are in open relationships become open because either there was infidelity or there was boredom or there was something that triggered going down that route. Again, if that's what makes them happy, then knock yourself out.
Yeah, but as you just said, and as we know, I mean, not all relationships don't only revolve around sex. So if you've got your significant other, your partner, your wife, your husband, whatever, and it's that relationship, that connection, that soulmate, whatever you want to call it, and this is just a facet that you're going elsewhere to find, and again, everybody's in agreement, why not?
No, that's why. I mean, if you want to do it, do it. I mean, who are we at Pero Let Me Tell You to say anything?
At least on mic.
Well, yeah. Off mic, te arrancamos la tira de pellejo,
yes,
como dice mi mamá.
Exactly.
Or as we said about someone that we know. What is it?
What was it?
Joy, jealousy, and judgment.
Joy, jealousy, and judgment. That's how we roll, boo-boo.
We know a couple of people that it's like they look at you with joy because they're kind of happy with
what's happening.
With what's happening at your success.
They kind of wish they were involved.
Then jealousy,
right,
because it's like,
why isn't it me?
Why isn't it me? Why are they going so many places? Blah, blah, blah. And then a little bit of judgment, like,
you should be doing other things.
Right. So you should be building another empire. Anyway, okay, so.
All right, what do you got on the docket?
So, by the time this airs, Pero Friday, a lot of you have probably watched or have heard of the Michael Jackson documentary.
Yes, I saw part 1.
Okay, so did I. And it's kind of now like this whole thing similar to the R. Kelly documentary, where we're talking about things we already knew,
right,
in terms of Michael Jackson, and now a lot of people, obviously, due to the Michael Jackson documentary, whether it's online or just a discussion like we're having here, people are talking about it again, So I guess in terms of, for those of you who haven't seen the documentary, yes, it's from the perspective of Wade Robson,
yes,
which, as you said, the greatest revelation.
The greatest revelation of that damn documentary is that he's Australian.
I did not know he was Australian.
Like, I literally turned to Jose and I was just like, wait a minute, he's Australian?
Yeah, he's Australian?
I didn't hear anything for the next 10 minutes.
But he's Brittany and Justin's
choreographer.
And then I forgot the other
He
guy's
replaced
name.
Joey Fatone in the pop video.
Yeah, I forgot the other guy's name.
Oh God.
But there's another guy who claims that Michael Jackson sexually molested him when he spent time in Neverland, and so on and so forth. So again, although the story is not new in terms of these allegations put forth against Michael Jackson, we're now talking about two new people who are giving very specific accounts of what happened, and they are very, very specific. So I guess
very specific.
I guess the topic of conversation is as follows. Now, with Wade Robson, as some of you know, he actually defended Michael Jackson in his 2005...
James Safechuck.
That's the other guy.
Yes.
Wade Robson defended Michael Jackson in the 2005 trial, again, for child abuse and child sexual abuse that Michael Jackson was going through at that time, which he was acquitted for. After Michael Jackson dies, Wade Robson comes out with these allegations. When Wade Robson defended Michael Jackson in 2005, he was a full-blown adult. He was probably in his, mid-20s?
Yeah, 'cause he's 36 now.
Yeah, so he was about in his mid-20s, and he defended him.
The other gentleman did not.
The other one did not.
Correct.
And now, shortly after Michael Jackson died in 2009 and 2010, Wade Robson came out and said that, in fact, Michael Jackson did abuse him. So, I guess the topic of conversation is, obviously in the case of Michael Jackson is no longer with us, so he can't defend himself,
Right.
nor does he have a rep or somebody that can defend him. He died almost 10 years ago.
Wow.
So, I know, right?
Crazy.
So, what are your thoughts on these? And I guess this will open the door to the conversation of documentaries, which we kind of touched on in our previous episode with Punisher, with Gabriel. What are your thoughts on like this documentary where we have only one side? And I'm trying to talk about this objectively,
absolutely,
right? Because we're not saying that we don't believe these guys. We're not saying that this didn't happen, but in terms of a documentary, when you are presenting these allegations, which are very, very serious about something that's very delicate and very destructive, what are your thoughts in terms of, in this case, or like in many documentaries recently, that it's one-sided? There's absolutely no rebuttal.
My first question is, did the filmmakers reach out at all?
No.
Okay, they didn't at all. Okay. Because that's, if you reach out and somebody says, we're not going to participate, then what are you going to do? I think in the case of Michael Jackson, it's also very different in the sense that we're talking about somebody who's also been so overly documented that I think on some level, everybody feels they know him. Everybody feels they have some, as sheltered as he was, everything has been covered, whether it's by rumor or interviews with Martin Bashir or what have you. I think there's also something to be said for, in a documentary like this, you're not uncovering, I guess, you're not really uncovering anything new, because again, these allegations have come up before, so it's not like nobody had ever heard of it and we need to find out what's at the bottom of this. But you're just putting the focus on the experiences that these boys had. And so I don't think it's a documentary in the strictest sense of the word of let's explore this and let's present two sides. It's literally just tell me what you experienced. It's more just, here's the camera, talk to me about what happened. Not, and let's look at it from different angles. So I agree with you. I think documentaries should be multifaceted. I don't think that this was ever the intention from the beginning with this documentary.
Oh, no. This was not.
No, but I'm saying I don't think it was ever going to be, and I think it's because it's such a well-worn topic that it was like, what am I going to say that's new? And he's dead. So it's like, what, is LaToya going to come out and be like, Michael never did anything. He didn't even like to pet my snakes. I
love how your version of LaToya sounds like all of them, but sounds like LaToya.
Well, it's
because LaToya, Michael, and Janet sound alike, but they sound different at the same time.
If you really listen, they sound different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was spot on LaToya.
Well, thank you. I saw her on The Masked Singer.
Is LaToya trying to build a brand, by the way?
I don't think LaToya's reached out to me yet, so, no comment. Talk to my mother, Dina.
About the brand.
About the brand. She was trying to build the brand on Celebrity Big Brother, too.
Anyway, I'm sorry. Your Lindsay is, I love your Lindsay. Look, I think that this, and again, we kind of talked about this last week. I think this era we're in about documentaries, and especially documentaries that are skewed one way or another, and it's not even whether they're skewed right or wrong,
just
or
with a bias, period.
I think they're dangerous because the problem is that when people finish watching a documentary, they feel kind of empowered.
Like they've learned everything.
They've learned something. They know they got to the bottom of this.
You don't think most people jump online and do a little Google and Wikipedia?
Maybe some, but what you're Googling is based on what you saw.
No, right, but like, if I see something and I Google but what happened with blah blah blah,
right?
Like,
For example, in the Michael Jackson one, if you go and Google Wade Robson, Michael Jackson, rape or child molestation, what's going to come up is that.
The newest.
I mean, you're not going to look up Michael Jackson documentary rebuttal. I mean, and I think that that's a little bit of a dangerous territory because, again, and I said this last week, I've always loved documentaries. If you go to my bookshelf, you'll see I have box sets of documentaries on like ships, on ocean liners, on presidents, on stuff like that. And
Your
documentary,
45-minute documentary about grass growing is just
isn't it
riveting.
It is
Riveting.
And I don't have that documentary, by the way. And like A&E would make these like great documentaries and TLC, but those documentaries
Back when they stood for Arts and Entertainment and the Learning Channel.
right. But those documentaries were informative,
Right.
Right. Whereas
You always had salacious
documentaries now have, it's kind of like a platform to present something in a skewed way, whatever way it may be, right? And, you know, many times I watch documentaries that's like totally my train of thought,
Right.
But I know that it's skewed,
Right.
I know that it's skewed, and my fear of that is that the more documentaries are being produced, and actually, it's funny that we're talking about this because when we recorded the show last week, 2 days later on CBS Sunday Morning, they were talking about documentaries.
41 minutes. Whoever had that in the pool, you just won. Okay.
My CBS Sunday Morning reference.
Yes.
CBS Sunday Morning actually had. Actually, I texted you when I was watching it, and I go, "Do you remember I texted you?" And I go, "Documentaries."
Oh, that's what that was?
I was watching CBS Sunday Morning. That's why I texted you on Sunday morning.
I get a text at like 11 a.m. that literally just says documentaries.
Because I was watching.
Okay.
I was watching it. I was a little behind. I had DVR'd it. So I was like maybe, 45 minutes behind. And they were talking about documentaries. I'm like, Coño, we just talked about documentaries. And that's why I texted you. I'm like, documentaries. Never mind. That's us. And they were saying how,
awesome.
like, I think it's like documentaries in the last like 4 or 5 years have gone up by like 60%.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and they have they're being
said it last
they're being
episode.
produced like left and right, whereas before they weren't. And some documentaries are fun, like our favorite, the Fire Festival.
Right.
But a lot of documentaries are very either political or, in the case of Michael Jackson, making allegations against someone, and
They carry weight.
Yeah, that's very dangerous because in a case like Michael Jackson or R. Kelly, you could say like, well, they probably did it, so
And Michael's dead.
So what's really lost here? Okay, but that's not always going to be the case.
Right.
You're going to have topics and you're going to have allegations or matters that are a little bit more complex on people that, the widespread opinion of someone can really affect them. So,
Right. No, I don't disagree. But I will say this. I do believe both of these guys. I don't think anybody's going to go out of their way to make something like that up. And I say, a lot of people, but he defended him before. Even though Michael Jackson never recovered, as we've said, from the scandal, Michael Jackson still had power. I mean, Michael Jackson was still a powerful person. And I can understand, I've seen enough SVU to know that people can be afraid of their abusers into
absolutely.
adulthood and be intimidated by them. And then you add the layer of fame and superstardom, and that's a whole different level.
Right.
So, once this person is dead, this person can't hurt me anymore.
Right.
So I can understand how that could be
Oh,
the
absolutely.
case.
Absolutely. I just think that if I was a filmmaker, I would have
prodded
included
a little bit more.
somebody from his estate.
I would have at least reached out.
Or an attorney or something.
At least reached out.
Reached out. Something to have a rebuttal or a different perspective, even if it was bullshit, even if we didn't believe it. But I'm of the opinion of that if you're going to make a documentary about something, in this case, sexual misconduct or child abuse, child sexual abuse, and it's going to be the story of these two children, right? Well, at the time, children.
Right.
Then, as a journalist, because I see a documentary as enlightened kind of extended journalism. Maybe I'm seeing it in the wrong way. Maybe I'm not. Maybe nowadays documentaries are more entertainment.
Right.
I see it as more educational and
Investigative.
journalism. Investigative journalism, educational. That's kind of how I've always seen it. So the filmmaker, that is how the spectrum that I would use. I would have a rebuttal. Even if it's Jermaine Jackson coming out there saying that it didn't happen.
Right.
At the end of the day, you, the viewer, you decide. Right?
Right.
And I think that if you make it well, people will know,
Have a dialogue.
have a dialogue, but people will know what they need to know. And in this case, you know, if people believe these guys, and these guys gave very good, like,
I was
specific
floored.
accounts, you know, you're going to be like, okay, I saw both sides. I saw these guys speaking, as you said. They can't make this up. I mean, I believe them. Then great. You know, you came to a conclusion based on what you were given. But, you know, and again, my worry of this is not so much in the case of Michael Jackson or R. Kelly, because, again, I especially hate to say it about Michael Jackson because, you know, he's such an icon for us.
It hits so hard for me.
He's such an icon for us in our childhood, in our, you know,
Just
teenage
musically,
years.
yeah,
Musically,
it's
he's
just-
somebody who's so important and has so much to do with, you know,
Legacy
our formative years.
Yeah.
But this probably did happen, and it hurts you, but at the same time, you know, it is what it is. It happened, and
Yeah.
you know, but well,
I will
documentaries.
say, I was reading an article and I kind of agree with it. You know, I don't know if I can't listen to Michael Jackson anymore, but I might be a little bit more selective with some of the songs. Like, I don't think I can listen to Pretty Young Thing anymore.
Repeat after. That's such a good song.
I know. Or Keep It in the Closet.
Tenderoni, you got to be.
Like, you
Take
know,
my
it's just-
sugar baby fly. You know what my favorite song of his is?
Go on.
It's gonna surprise you a little bit.
Okay, wait, then let me try to guess.
My favorite song of his. I
Early,
freaking love
mid,
it.
or late?
Late.
Late?
Mm-hmm.
Is it the posthumous song?
No.
Um,
Although I love that nobody liked "You Rock My World," you know you did, and everything. No.
okay.
My favorite song of his is "Given to Me."
Oh, that's a good song.
Love is a feeling, give it what I want,
Give it
because
to
I'm
me.
on fire.
Give in to me.
Quench my desire. I love that song.
One of my favorites
With
is
the Slash
Oh no, it's 'cause it's
guitar.
I love it. It's funny because I kind of like his rock, quote unquote.
I love
songs.
them.
I love Dirty Diana.
Oh, Dirty Diana's awesome.
So good.
I like
You put Dirty Diana and Black Cat back to back, and I'm in heaven.
like Off the Wall and Thriller. I like more for nostalgic reasons,
But
Because
musically,
that was when we were kids, and it was so big, But I really love Dangerous, that album.
that's as an album.
As an album,
that's
I
a
love
great album.
Dangerous. And Bad, I love Liberian Girl.
I didn't know that song existed until like 10 years ago because of you.
Because of me. I love that
I
song.
didn't know that song had a video, much less that it existed.
Liberian Girl. You know what? Now that we're talking about this, we could extend it. As far as like Michael Jackson goes, and I guess we could shift the conversation in terms of icons. I think that we were probably one of the last generations to have these like mega icons.
Dude, watching the footage of Jackson concerts, that people se tiraban, estaban gritando, llorando. They would chase the car for like miles.
The
That
only-
doesn't happen nowadays.
The only person I think that comes close is Beyonce.
And even still, I don't think it's the same.
Because what I try to explain to people is like Michael Jackson and I'm talking about Michael Jackson and Madonna because that was our generation.
Correct.
Michael Jackson and Madonna were like a phenomenon. It was like everybody liked them.
Like they came from Mount Olympus.
Yes.
Yeah.
From the young kids to La Abuela, everybody loved them. And when they
See,
would
Rolly
do...
took his grandmother to see Madonna.
I took my parents to see Madonna. To the Sticky and Sweet tour. And my mom was like, a mí me encanta Madonna. And her and my dad were dancing. My mom's favorite Madonna song is Like a Prayer. And
Really?
Yes. And you see her dancing así with no rhythm. And she's like, me encanta esta canción. Me encanta. Qué música más linda. Anyway. But I've explained this to like, I've tried to explain this to like people that are younger, and I'm like, you know, again, Beyonce. The closest one I can think of is Beyonce. Imagine Beyonce times like 10.
Yeah. Okay.
Because these were people that, and you can make the argument that like there have been other pop acts like whether it's the Spice Girls or the New Kids on the Block or more recently One Direction.
But those are teen, quote unquote, acts.
Right, and those had a shelf life.
Yeah.
They within a couple of years, and that's nothing to take away from them, especially
God knows we know the
the
girls.
Spice Girls. But they weren't something that were either multi-generational or lasted for decades.
Right.
But like Michael Jackson and Madonna, especially in the 80s, I mean, it was something that was like everywhere. It was part of like your everyday life.
Yeah.
I remember when, and it was something like. For example, I
God's sake, they
remember.
both had Pepsi
I
commercials.
clearly remember when Madonna came out with "Papa Don't Preach" that she had cut her hair.
Yeah.
And that was like her first image
platinum,
change.
yeah.
Like I distinctly remember being a kid at like I think my uncle's house, and everybody there was talking about it.
Yeah.
Like and again,
She gets a haircut and it's
I'm
news.
talking about Beyonce because she's the biggest one that I can think of like currently.
Right.
Like if Beyonce cuts her hair, do you think that like your grandmother knows that or that
No.
nobody's
Nobody's gonna care.
Nobody's gonna care. I mean, obviously her fans,
Right.
But it wasn't that thing that like everybody knew. And I can't think of anybody.
I think it's also because we have a lot more platforms now, so everybody's off in their own silos. Whereas when we were growing up, there was fewer,
Maybe.
just TV channels even.
Maybe.
So everybody knew.
Maybe because I mean I
things.
think those phenomenons like Michael Jackson, Madonna, the Beatles, Elvis Presley. I mean, obviously there are not a lot of them.
But
Those like icons,
Right,
but
right.
but again, I think that they were the last ones. I think we were one of those last generations.
¿de qué tú hablas? The next icon is Halsey, no?
Esa chiquita. When her songs come on the radio, I'm like, what is this? There's people that are young, like, for example, you know what? I don't care so much for his music, but I totally get is Sam Mendes. I totally get
Shawn Mendes.
I like
Shawn Mendes.
But I totally get it. He's young, he's good looking, he plays a guitar,
Right,
girls
right.
like him. I think he writes his songs.
He-
I totally get it.
Right.
I don't care
Not
for
your
his
cup
songs.
of tea, but you get it.
But I get it, and there's other people that come and go that I'm like, okay, I get it. But then there's some people that it's like, oh. But then I think, okay, these would have been like equivalent to like Skilo when we were in high
Willa
school.
Ford.
Willa Ford, like when we were younger.
Hoku.
Oh yeah, Deha Hoku. She made Hawaii proud.
I'm sure she did.
But yeah, I mean, I don't think those people like that will ever come again because, or at least they haven't, because those were people that it's just not that their songs were popular; they defined a generation culturally, and I again, los sigo diciendo, the only person I can think of that comes close, I wouldn't put her in that arena, but comes close is Beyonce.
Yeah. I'd agree.
I remember that last year when she played Coachella on the Breakfast Club, they were saying that they considered her after that performance the greatest performer that has ever lived. And I like Beyonce, you know that I do, but I disagree.
That's a big statement.
That's a big statement because the thing with Beyonce is that Beyonce puts on a hell of a show. I mean, I've seen her live several
Right.
times. But there's something to be said, and this doesn't take away from her artistry, but there's something to be said when you have 100 background dancers, and you have pyrotechnics, and you have a huge screen,
Right.
and you have 10 outfit changes, and you are flying across the stage. There's something to be said of when you put
Spectacle.
that spectacle together.
Right.
And, when you have somebody like Michael Jackson that with just the moonwalk kind of like stopped the world,
Right. Madonna had a comb bra.
and
Right.
it's like, okay, is she really the best performer? I mean, doesn't take away from her, but whatever. So yeah, Michael Jackson and Madonna. I'm glad we lived through that moment in pop culture.
Yeah. Nostalgia's not going to be what it used to be as we get older because there aren't as many shared experiences anymore.
Yeah. The same with television.
That's what I'm saying. Nowadays, everybody's going to... The only shared experiences people will have moving forward is going to be like
American Idol.
award shows. No, The Four. What is it? I still don't understand how that show works.
How did American Idol come back?
I don't think anybody was looking. I think they just started filming it and hoped nobody would notice.
That was back.
Yeah. Katy Perry was bored, Lionel Richie had nothing to do.
That and The Voice. Jesus Christ. And you know that I was totally Team American Idol.
Yeah.
I loved American Idol,
But
but
it had its time.
It had its time, and like when the last like 4 or 5 people that won, and nobody knew who they were. They didn't have a hit song. The writing's on the wall. That's it. And then bring it back a year later.
That's what kills me.
And the same thing with The Voice.
The Voice has not produced one.
Not one, because American Idol has produced. American Idol, say what you will, has produced
and not
stars.
just winners. Like,
not just winners,
right.
yeah. I mean, and from all realms, whether it's Broadway or
Cat McPhee's on TV or was on TV,
theater, television, music. Right. But I mean, The Voice. No. I commit that to The Voice because when The Voice is on, it's like, oh, it's the live finals. Oh, it's the boxing match. Oh, and then Blake Shelton and Adam Levine get into their stupid fight. That's all fake and rehearsed. And I hate it. I hate it so much. And I'm like, Kelly Clarkson, why are you there? You're so much better than this.
It's probably part of her NBC deal that gets her the talk show.
Whatever.
I'm sure. Yeah, it's all tied together.
Yeah, but it's like, Kelly, you're so like above this stupid banter.
But I think that's what you do nowadays. You're a judge on a thing.
You're a judge on a thing?
You're a judge on a thing. That's how you make your money nowadays.
I wasn't happy when Mariah was a judge on a thing, I'm going to tell you.
I don't think Mariah was happy when she was a judge
on a thing. No, she certainly wasn't happy when she was a judge on a thing.
Forget you, Mariah was not having it.
Shit. Anyway. So is it soda time?
It is soda time. So, do you want to go first?
No, I always go first. You go first.
Well, I'm asking. I'm being polite. So, excuse me. So, my last soda actually goes to...
the Heifer Corporation.
It's not the Heifer Corporation. It actually goes to a local wine company.
Dime.
They're called Little Wings.
Little Wayne?
Little Wings. Like pequeñas alitas.
Uh-huh.
And actually, I know it was started by a couple, and I know the husband. And basically, it's because I'm basically just going to read from their website right now. In February of 2015, their daughter Micaela was born at just 24 weeks gestational age. Despite the efforts of the doctors and staff in the NICU at Miami's Holtz Children's Hospital and Micaela's fighting spirit, their daughter passed away after 11 days. So their passion for wine and its craft led them to the idea to produce a vibrant, unique, and little wine to commemorate their daughter and raise funds to help bring hope to families of other NICU babies. Mm-hmm. So Little Wings is a wine. They produce very limited amounts of each bottle. They just released, I think it's a rosé. And then not all the proceeds, because they have to put some of it back in to keep making the wine. But they do know with every bottle of Little Wings, the NICU program, local NICU program, gets about $20 of everything that they buy. So, if you're somebody who likes wine and you like to, give back and help a local company that's doing something to honor the spirit of their daughter, they've since had other children, and they're fine. LittleWingsWine.com.
Oh, that's so nice.
Yeah.
Wow. I feel so stupid now about my last Coke. Oh, that's so nice.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, there we go. Well,
I'm sure yours is nice.
My last Coke goes to a TV program.
But that's good. It tempers it, because mine is a little,
yes.
Mine is bittersweet.
Yes. And I've had, some more...
yes.
Tenderoni, you got... I was saying tenderoni. Sorry, that's a great song. I'm not going to stop listening to it. I'm sorry.
That's a great song.
PYT is such a good song. Of like the old, like
oh, yeah,
off the wall.
Oh, yeah,
I like that one even more than Rock With You and Can't Stop Till You Got Enough. I love PYT.
I like Rock With You.
Because it's like straight R&B. Anyway, I'm going to give it to the show The Enemy Within with Jennifer Carpenter that premiered on NBC this week.
All right. And why?
It's a CIA FBI show, and
okay.
I love Deborah Carpenter. She was on Dexter.
Dexter, right? Yeah.
Jennifer Carpenter. Did you hear what I called her?
You called her Deborah.
I called her Deborah from Dexter. That was her name.
Oh, okay. She played his sister on the show, right?
Yes, and they were married in real life. But I actually really like her. Or you remember her from the Exorcism of Emily Rose.
I don't remember that movie.
You don't remember that movie?
I know I saw it, but I don't remember it.
You don't remember her? The main star of the movie?
I don't remember it.
No. It's a CIA show. For those of you who haven't seen it, it's really good. So she was in she was in the CIA, and she is in jail for treason.
Ooh.
But now there is a new threat in the U.S., and they must use her.
Is it Phyllis Diller?
No. No, there's a Russian threat in the CIA, and there's, some people that have been killed, and now they must use her and her expertise to try to crack and find this guy.
So it's kind of like a blacklist.
Yeah, but I like it more.
Okay.
I like the blacklist when it started, but then it got a little bit weird.
It happens. It's been on what 7 years now?
I don't know. It feels like 25.
Well, there you go. James Spader just keeps getting more bloated.
And then the thing with the blacklist, and again, I like the blacklist, but sometimes, and I love James Spader, but James Spader sometimes goes on and rambles, and I'm like, whoa, this is network television.
Well, no, I was listening to an interview once with John Cryer, who's apparently friends with James Spader, and he says that one time James Spader left him a voicemail. He had a tape recorder. He kept the tape. He's like, the man talked for 25 minutes.
Yeah.
And that was just, hey, hi, how are you? And kept going from there.
So yeah, it's called The Enemy Within. It's on NBC. It airs Monday nights. It's actually a really good show. Check it out if you like that type of thing. Hopefully, if the show is picked up and runs for many years, it ends better than the other show she was in, Dexter. Because I spent 6 years of my life, I wasted 6 years of my life on Dexter, only for him to end up as a lumberjack. I'm not over it.
Sometimes you become a lumberjack.
I'm not over it. And let me tell you something. Yo estoy sazonado.
Oh, no.
Because today I saw the trailer to Game of Thrones Season 8. And let me tell you, people, the trailer doesn't give shit. It
doesn't say anything.
It's just people walking. Looking at the trailer doesn't give a shit. But let me tell you something. I told you during dinner. I don't think I've ever been more excited about anything in my entire life than I of Game of Thrones. And I'm excited, but scared as shit.
You're hesitantly excited.
Because if that show messes up and does not end well, and I don't know how I want that show to end. That's the bad thing. I don't know.
Wouldn't it be great if the last episode at one point everybody just turns to the camera, in mid-scene, and they're just like, thank you for watching, and they wave and cuts to black.
They go,
and that's it.
There'll be riots. Riots.
And that's it. That's the end.
I'm going with a Molotov cocktail, and I'll be like, no! Westeros forever, King's Landing. No, I mean, people that watch Game of Thrones, people who don't watch Game of Thrones, you're weird. You're not gonna obviously get it, but people that watch Game of Thrones understand me because they know what we're going through.
They feel your pain.
They feel my pain. It's pain. It's been 8 years. It's been 8 years of struggle. That's all I have to say. So, Game of Thrones. But wait, that wasn't even my last.
That wasn't your last soda. That was your last soda last week. Your last soda this week is Enemy Within.
So, wait, are you going to come to my... I don't know if I'm having a viewing party, but if I have a viewing party, you should come.
I go to the opening of a letter.
Okay, well, there we go. I don't know if I'm having... Maybe another friend of ours who's into that show should have it because she doesn't host shit.
That's true.
I always have to end up hosting shit because nobody else is host shit. And she has a bigger house, so whatever. Anyway, that's an
yeah,
tangent.
but yours is more party friendly.
Yeah, but everybody has that friend. But anyway, everybody, we hope you listened, laughed, and learned, as always. And remember to grab your pastelito, your croqueta, and your jupiña. And thank you so much for joining us.
All right,
but let me tell you, bye.
I just wanna see the lights, and nothing else matters to me. Tonight, don't start a fight. Just let go, release. I usually keep the pain.